All right, let's bring in Dr. Ngema. He is from the National Teachers Union. He's the General Secretary there. Thank you very much for joining us, Doctor, here on eNCA. Just firstly, in terms of this tender, I know that you have a different way that you were expecting the department to procure this particular tender. They've given one company the tender, and that company is supposed to now outsource other companies to deliver the food to schools. What do you think should have actually happened rather than this idea?
Good day, Maseko, and good day to your viewers at home. From us as National Teachers Union, we are of the view that the system of allocating one supplier for every school was working well. And we had no reason whatsoever that such a system should be changed or be transformed in any way. We were actually shocked when we heard from the department to say that they appointed the main supplier. And unfortunately, what we have also learned is that the tendering system building up to the appointment of this Pakina retail company, which is rather based in Gauteng, owned by Mr. Zungu, that tendering system or process did not go well. And as such, it ended up starving more than 2 million learners in this province, and teachers and principals had to stop classes or lessons during the day because they noted that we can't continue teaching these learners while they were starving. So in our view, because the tender, or should I say the contracts of those service providers was due for a 2-year extension at the end of March this year. They were supposed to, because it showed that they were not ready to appoint the new suppliers. They were supposed to extend the contracts until such time that they do the tendering process well and be clear about decentralization of the supply of food in our schools. But what they've done, unfortunately, they messed up, and it's a blunder that the department has committed in this province because apart from them having budgeted more than 2 billion for making food available for our kids, they failed. Until today, Maseko, there are schools, more than 20 have reported to us this morning to say that they have not received food for their kids for this week. Remember, Maseko, food will arrive every Monday or even on a weekend for the school to prepare well for their kids during the whole week. But what we found is that there is no supply, simply because those small suppliers that have been appointed by the department, they learned that the system is not as what they applied for earlier. They only knew about the system going in a way where they are given a tender to purchase food for the school, supply to school, and then do the claims at end. But what they are being told now is that they must go to a particular nodal point where they do only the collection and supply to the school, and that is not beneficiary to them as business people. And as such, many of them has just left and just left the whole system, and they do not want to do this thing because they go to those nodal points or collection points only to find that there is no food, or there is insufficient food, or food that is given to them is rotten or expired, and they do not want to go back to the principals and account for that because it's not them who go and purchase. And therefore, they've just left and say, we are not going on with this. And therefore, the department, thus far, even today, there are schools that are without food, and our kids are still starving.
So clearly the MEC hasn't been able to actually keep her word in terms of the promise to have this sorted soon. It's the 3rd week since the term, the second term started at schools. Now speak to me about this Pasina Retail and your thoughts around that company being the one that is awarded this huge tender. It seems it's the first time that this tender would work this way, and the link of business partners between your Sandile Zungu and your Manzini Zungu. Sandile Zungu, who, for instance, last year did, withdraw from running as one of the top 5s of the ANC and KZN, and that link between himself and Manzini Zungu. What do you think happened here? If I could just put you on the spot and ask you that, what do you think is going on?
Well, we are left with no other option but to suspect a corruption and like a comradeship of corruption where people give and take because in one way or the other, you can even think, Maseko, that perhaps he was told to say, well, look, you will benefit from our administration. Please just decline or withdraw your contestation in the conference. We can just imagine that. We are thinking about that. But still, it's for us, it's very much heartless and insensitive to the plight of the poor kids that our government in the province continue to deprive our poor learners the only meal that they have. We cannot imagine that they are bringing our kids small portions of food. I just received something this morning where there were only about 2 liters of mass that were delivered for a school that enrolls more than 350 learners. And that is for the entire week, by the way. And you ask yourself to say, what are the expectations here? And you can tell that the whole thing is rooted around corruption. But indeed, as NATU, we want to welcome the intervention of the National Department of Education, because we are aware that the Minister of Basic Education has written to the MEC in the province requesting her to account and justify the termination of the decentralized procurement system and a whole lot of other issues, including the timelines for the appointment of the main supplier, because we are aware that the main supplier was appointed overnight, is incapable and indeed lacks expertise, because this company has not done any work or any business, that comes to anywhere closer to $1 million. And now they are giving a 2 billion tender to feed kids in the province. So from where we see, we really want the Department of Basic Education to investigate this matter and find the root cause of the department, because what we have seen in the past, Maseko, remember NATU blew the whistle in 2015 when there was also an irregularity around the supply of sanitary towels, around the issue also of the PPE supplies in 2020 during COVID-19. So we are saying there must be consequences for this, and if there is a need for heads to roll, heads must roll, and people must be fired for it.
All right, just very quickly, Doctor, how much time would you give to the department and hopefully even the Office of the Public Protector in terms of investigating this and coming to a conclusion as soon as possible, looking at how how urgent it is for the children who grow hungry every day?
We unfortunately have no time, Maseko. Our kids continue to starve, and teaching and learning continue to be disrupted in school. So the sooner we get to the bottom of this and rectify it, the better. We want our system to go back and be restored in its normality, so that our kids can go back to class and our teachers can teach for the full day. Where we sit now is that this matter should have been resolved as of the beginning of the financial year and have those suppliers appointed on time. We are calling for 1 supplier per school.
All right. Well, thank you very much for speaking to us. That was the General Secretary of the National Teachers Union, Dr. Ngema.